Welcome to yet another session of Media Literacy Lecture Series. Today we are going to discuss about a topic which is might be very closer to many of us because we are highly connected with this particular topic, and not only the connection point and whatever the decision we are making in a public life, this particular topic has a lot of influence. We are talking about the news, current affairs, and its relationship with media literacy. There's a new term is being coined in this relationship between news and media literacy. It's a news literacy. And we are going to discuss about the concept, the characteristics of news literacy, and its role in a democratic social setup. The why I'm saying this has a lot of close relationship with individuals. The reason is the entertainment component is being used by many of us individuals to kill the time, to relax your time. Possibly it might change our mindset, it reinforces certain stereotypes, but it influences within ourselves. Of course, it has its own direct consequences in the near social and community setups. Whereas in the news, current affairs, and other areas, our decisions are largely influenced by the nature of the news coverage, and the decisions of our participation in a society, a community, largely influenced by the information we are receiving from multiple sources, including newspapers, including television channels, including social media and other online platforms. Objectivity and accuracy, these are the two hallmarks of news journalism. With the changing nature of social media and other platforms, and the gatekeeping is no longer is confined to the institutions, and individuals no longer is responsible for their gatekeeping process at all. Responsibility lies with individuals, but gatekeeping may not be that rigorously followed. Hence, we end up with many information might be distorted, biased, stereotyped, misinformation or disinformation. So in that context, and whatever information we are getting, we have to be more careful about handling those informations. That's what the news literacy is talking about. Let us understand the broad concept of news literacy and its characteristics, and let us apply in our routine life. So the news literacy is a continuation of media literacy. We have discussed extensively about various concepts of media literacy in the last 7 episodes. Here we can say that news literacy combines the knowledge and skills that helps the individuals to understand how news is being produced, distributed and consumed. This is very crucial. In the media literacy, we talked about how media content is being created, constructed and consumed. But here we are talking about purely on news operation, news cycle, news life. And it's how it empowers in the individual's relationship with the media, and maybe probably the fact-checking, verification are part of the news literacy process. So there's a broad definition of news literacy that distinguishes from the main media literacy component. And in a very broad terms, we can define media literacy as a process or skill or competency that helps the individuals to ability to critically analyze the news content, specifically news content, and ability to recognize the credible sources, and ability to distinguish between fact and opinion. Remember that. Not only from truth and misinformation or disinformation or actual information, but able to distinguish between which is part of the news is opinion, which part of the newspaper is a fact-based. That ability helps the individuals to differentiate between the opinion comes from the individuals, opinion comes from the institutions, newspaper or television channel, or fact. And this overall process helps the whoever interacting with the news platform ability to understand how news is being produced, how news is being distributed. This is the very crucial fundamental skills understanding required in order to handle the news content. News content might be now, it comes from a variety of sources 24/7, and through our social network platform we might be getting bits and pieces of information continuously. A lot of scholars, they are working on this new domain of news literacy. They have identified very broad areas. Specifically, they have recommended 5 key domains of news literacy. One is talking about context. Context means how this news is being generated. The media system, ownership, legal and economic forces. Second is creation. How a news is being created. We have discussed earlier also, the news is a reality of society, but news is being reconstructed, manufactured. Let me explain a little bit later about all these 5 key domains. And the content. And content, we are dealing with the information which is newsworthiness. It might be having a biasness. It's sourced from multiple sources and it's being verified. So anything comes to us must be going through the minimum of these stages. And then how the news is being circulated through humans, through algorithm, through physical process, through airwaves, and consumption, personal exposure, attention, and evaluation. So if you look at the 5 key domains, it's talking about the platform in which news is being generated, and how the news is being generated, and who are the people are creating, and how they are creating, how it's being disseminated, and who are the people consuming that. Little bit explanations required on these 5 key domains. Because newspapers or television channels or online news portal or business entity. We had discussed in a different episodes earlier also. And all are private, lot of them, majority of them are privately owned, commercially operated, profit oriented. And they are connected to the power center, highly connected to the power center, and influenced by many stakeholders. They are working at this level. So profit oriented, power based, power centered, close to the power center. So in this process, they are bound to compromise certain things. And also there are so many social variables also works. Some groups might be dominating, some ideology might be dominating that, some section might be dominating that. In this platform only, news is being created. The individuals, editor, owner might be having different commitments, and corporate pressure and other factors also influence. Because you have to understand that how the ownership is functioning there. Easily, if you go through the newspaper, easily you can understand that, whether what kind of stand they are taking. Is they opposing certain projects, opposing governments, opposing corporates, or supporting corporates, supporting government, supporting multinational agencies. Easily you can do that. If you are very able to critically analyze the news content, you can make the difference. If they are taking a stand, they are tilting towards left or right, or truth or other level, automatically their news coverage tend to follow the same style. Over the period of exposure to that level, our mindset might be changed, provided our motivation or our interest aligned with the news agency. So this is, you have to understand clearly how the platform works. And who are the people are creating that, how they are creating that. Remember that. And it's not always possible for the reporter to be present in all the events. If the press conference, they can do it. Or scheduled events, they can be part of that. In advance, they'll give a notification, they can do that. But that large number of events, which newspaper and TV channel, online platform reports, never have the chance to intimate that. May not have all the chance, time, opportunity to present all the events. For example, accidents, natural calamity. Many examples you can find that where the informations are gathered from multiple sources. Large number of examples you can quote that. So automatically how the news is being generated, either through the government sources, authority, or eyewitness, or authorized legal personalities, or the other resources, literature, documents, everything available. So through multiple sources, informations are gathered by the journalist, assembled and manufactured, means they created the content based on this collected information. So they are recreating the content. While recreation, the journalist, within her or his ability, choice of words, presentation methods, ability and influence, all this matter plays a very crucial role while constructing news. That is being filtered by the editorial team members, then being positioned in a newspaper or channel. News value, news prominence. Certain stories goes in a front page. Front page stories has a lot of prominence, and in the second page, subsequent pages in the bottom single column, you can find the difference. Front page 3-column story, and third page bottom corner 1 single column story. See the value for the story. Some front page has highest prominence, inside single column lowest prominence. So the way they are positioning the story, that also they are signifying that. Actually, basically, they'll try to set the agenda for society. What needs to be they think about that. So this is a broader area on that. Then the content is newsworthiness, biasness, stereotypes. That also matters. What kind of stand the ownership is taken. Then accordingly they'll do that. Or individual level, the social media platform, individuals might have different choices. So accordingly, news being conceived, processed, presented. So this is a broad idea of news literacy's key domains. And I said that in one of the key domains is the news is being constructed. The news construction, there are 3 important matters are very crucial. One is editorial decisions. The editorial decision includes the owner of that institution or stakeholders of institutions, and the main newsroom personalities, editors, news editors and others, and other important departments like advertisement, circulation, or the television means advertisement department. So like that, every other departments. So multiple department or personalities consist of the editorial team. So that decisions of the editorial influence how news is being constructed. And political and commercial pressure, these are other important factors. I told you earlier, news institutions are always closer to the power center. Mainly if you look at the newspapers or television channel operates in the main cities where the power center is located. Capital city largely, because that's easy for them to collect the information and they can take the help for the news operations. And another point that influences the construction of reality, that's considered as a news, audience expectation and interpretations. Ultimately, it's a commercial entity, that's what I told you that, and they had to make a profit and they had to retain the audience, and they are retained for a longer period of time. So that matters for them. So according to their taste, preferences, and the stories are either killed or continued or overexposed. The many things happens in the newsroom operations. So this is a very crucial in the newsroom news literacy point of view part. And it's generally the news literacy is a subdomain of media literacy. It's emerging field, and it's quite different from media literacy. Media literacy talks about the overall media content. That includes everything, every aspect of the media content. Whereas the media literacy specifically talks about the particular, the reality, the news content. And specifically focusing on journalism, verification process, and public information. And it equips us individuals to participate meaningfully in a democratic life. Particularly in the election time, news operations is very crucial. And public administration, how government functioning, the public opinion matters. Even for the social functioning, there are a lot of participation of individuals matters. So every walks of life, being a civic participation or political participation, non-political or political participation, the news plays a very crucial, and it influences the individuals, how far they're going for, they're taking care about the public life and everything that. Because democracy is ultimately involvement of participation of large number of individuals. And a little bit of theoretical understanding of news literacy. News literacy is rooted in journalism, and it has a relevance from education, political science, and psychology. It's that it draws a lot of ideas from this interdisciplinary approach in order to understand the news literacy. And it's purely talking about how knowledge is being constructed, validated. Continuously we are getting information. Certain information are reinforced. It might be new, might be contradicting whatever the belief system we have. So news literacy is talking about the knowledge system, and it's how it's being constructed and validated. And in news literacy specifically encourages the questioning the truth and authority of gatekeeping. So these are the very prominent component of news literacy. Understand that it is interdisciplinary in nature and broadly linked with the opinion formation, and it encourages the challenging, critically looking at the content. That's what media literacy broadly defines. That's one of the pillar of media literacy. After access is a cognitive understanding that. And in the news broadly confined to a couple of main characteristics. One is the news should be the accurate, and as an audience, when we are receiving, we tend to believe that if we are receiving whatever information we are receiving, we believe that it must be accurate. It's already verified, and it has a balance, and it is independent of any stereotypes, misinformation or disinformation point of that. That can't be guaranteed by anyone. Objectivity itself is a challenging proposition. Many examples can be quoted on that. So on our part, as an individual, as a news reader or news user, we have to be careful while reading the content on these parameters: accuracy, verification, balance, and independence. And we had to be more careful in terms of distorted information, biasness, and other aspects, because in the commercial nature, the media organization, our individuals might have different vested interest, those who are operating in social media. So everybody must be having certain kind of agenda. Some of them might be very harmful. Some of them may not have create any impact, but may not be actual truth. So this kind of carefulness required while handling the information part. And second aspect of that, some of earlier episodes we were talking about representations. Representation, we talked about how far a particular content is visible, how far they are vocal, and what kind of timeline is being given, focus is being given that. I was mentioning about the front page and inner pages. Within the front page also, how it is being presented. So the manufacturing the content, after that how is being distributed, and that process goes through the framing process. And the framing is what kind of language is being used, what kind of visuals is being used, what context is being presented, and the representation of actual reality also very carefully needs to be understood. Or else we might end up with understanding concept in different manner. Because I told you that the content is being recreated, manufactured. Because many times the journalists may not have opportunity to be in the event. So information is collected. Eyewitness account, we have to go by that. Whatever authorities are giving information, we have to go by that. So within the available information, within the capacity of the journalist, the event is being recreated. And that's a process called recreation. But within the whole process, the selection of individual elements, for example, the choice of word to frame the headline, to put the intro or the body, might be have a different idea. To create more impact, they'll choose a different set of language. To underplay the event, they might be choose a different event. They may not be prominently displayed in the front page. They downplay it in the inner pages. So all these sort of actions usually carried out by the newsroom with a specific agenda. As a reader, as a user, news platform, we have to be very careful on this matter. And many times the content might be inherently closer to certain ideological orientation, or strategically framed certain things to protect somebody, some individual, some stakeholder, or some other institutions. So all this has to be understood in a holistic manner while dealing with the media content. And second aspect of the topic is how far the news literacy, news institutions plays an important role in democracy. Democracy basically is a participatory level and participation of various stakeholders, including individuals. So in that process, we have to understand the dynamics of the link between individuals, news institutions, news literacy, and public institutions. Public institutions means those who are responsible to run the government system, machineries, and in order to run the routine life of community, society, or nation. One of the basic requirement of the interlink between news literacy and democracy is participation. But to participation, we want participation of informed citizenship. We want informed citizen, means rightfully informed, and avoid of this kind of stereotypes, avoid of misinformation, avoid of disinformation. The information is filtered by the individuals in appropriate level, in critical manner, and consume it, and their knowledge process is being reoriented based on the continuous exposure to the content. Then they'll become aware about a certain events. On that basis, they have to take a decisions. So this is the characteristics of informed citizen. Being it a purchase of equipment, or being voting for a municipality, or selecting a candidate for state assembly or a parliament, everywhere our decision matters. But decision should be based on our own understanding rather than indirectly influenced by somebody else. This is the basic requirement of news literacy and its link with the democracy. And in that process, democracy depends on the citizens, presumably informed citizens, who can have access to the right information. Information is free from any kind of biasness, and ability to distinguish between fact and opinion. And the news literate user have a capability or skills to interpret the content in a rightful manner, understanding all the key domains of news literacy, content, creation, platform, consuming, and circulation. And within that framework, the ability to interpret the media content and use those information for decision making. For example, in elections or public debate. So this is the crucial link between news literacy and democracy. In that process, informed decisions and news literacy provide the skills and competency for the individuals to protect against the propaganda, which is part of the democratic process, which is a part of the any institutional setup and all, protecting them from the propaganda, deliberate attempt to manipulate the large section of the society. That's a propaganda. Continuously they are doing that. And protecting them from the fake news. And gatekeeping, before the internet, the news organization always plays a very crucial role in gatekeeping that. Gatekeeping in the sense, certain informations are allowed to go to the society, large number of informations are curtailed. So this means like a god, gate. They stop certain information, they allow certain information. Now in the present scenario, news organizations are functioning. But large information we are trying to gather through the social media platform, where the gatekeeping is not institutionalized. Individuals are operating that. And who's monitoring? Nobody is monitoring that. It's the responsibility, the self-responsibility lies with the individuals who are propagating the informations, they have to be more careful about this process and all. Maybe happening, may not be happening that. But that kind of scenario, you end up with misinformations and disinformation. News literacy protects the individuals from that kind of onslaught. And another point is algorithmic misinformation. Slight twisting of algorithm in a very minute level, it might reorient the whole process. For example, if you are searching some keywords in any of the search engine or any other platform, those informations are tracked by various tools. Terms and conditions are being given by various players of online, but still we may not be able to read all the things, but cookies are placed in our devices. All our behaviors are tracked. Our profile is being created. This is being communicated to the main server. So this is the person is interested on this area. So subsequent all our internet behavior being reflected by that profiling. You search some keywords, all related advertisements or content or design being fine-tuned according to your recent activities. And not only that, based on your preferences or based on the demand or influence from somewhere else, companies can tweak the algorithm to promote certain ideas, certain information. That can happen that. Because the algorithm is a very complex process, the common individual user may not have that much awareness about handling algorithmic manipulation or misinformation. So propaganda, fake news, algorithmic misinformations are distorting the public event. It's very careful, and that in news literacy has the capability to protect the individuals from those problematic areas. And another important point is accountability to scrutiny. The news operation, basically, news is media basically is a fourth pillar of the democracy. Particularly news organization. Media is a fourth pillar, but particularly news institutions are considered to be a fourth pillar. Fourth pillar means these are main pillars to protect the democracy. And what is the role of news media industry as a fourth pillar? As a watchdog. Watchdog in the sense they are the one scrutinize the public institutions, public individuals about their performance towards the society or the individual citizens. And the functioning of the news organization is to hold the governments responsible, accountable to their decisions. And in that process, governments also accountable and media institutions also accountable to the society. And the performance of media institutions as a dutiful watchdog, are they doing or not, that matters here. And the critical evaluation of news institutions, news content, easily you can understand that how far the media organizations are playing a critical role as a watchdog. So this is easily you can understand that. And news literate person can likely to get involved in the public life through voting and engage in public discourses through social media platform and attend many civic events that helps them to express or understand, to participate in a democratic life. So these are the dimensions of media news literacy. And we mentioned about algorithmic misinformation, and this is a concept called echo chambers. Echo chambers means based on our profiling, based on cookies being tracked, we are being tracked, our behavior, our profile is being created, and the institutions, the companies who operates the platforms, they'll try to confine ourselves into that. Once the profile created, and without our effort, we will be confined to that profile only. And even voluntarily, with the critical understanding only, you can go outside the process. This is called echo chamber. They'll confine to the chambers that echoes all the points, content, design, material which are related to our internet browsing behavior. So that is a problematic area, and that needs to be countered. News literacy helps us to overcome that in order to seek diverse perspectives, to challenge the biases and reduce polarization. And in that process, news literacy helps the people to understand the poor quality media content and high standard journalism. So this is a broad spectrum of news literacy, and these episodes helps you to understand the different dimension of media literacy in our day-to-day life. Thank you.